Alright guys, so I can tell you right now that this video will not be one of my most viewed videos. We know this. It's not going to be one. Hell, just the title alone is probably going to keep most people from actually even watching this video because it's boring from the initial standpoint. And if you're not someone who shares information, then you don't care about this video. You're not going to care. I mean, if you're not a manager who has to share information, if you're not a parent who has to share information, if you're not, a coworker who shares information, or a teacher, or if you're not a video YouTuber who shares information, if you're not the type of person who shares any information with people on their health, their relationships, their wealth, their spirituality, if you don't share information at all, then this video is not helpful for you. But if you are that kind of person that does share information, then I think there's a wealth of information in here that you can use to make you a better sharer of information. And if you're watching this on Instagram, you got to come on over to YouTube to catch the rest of it. So what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and I appreciate you for being here. Appreciate you for sharing, for spending this time, and for supporting this channel by purchasing Uncle Renz popcorn, as well as Coach Renz on my coaching programs, and just pure Patreon. I appreciate you guys greatly. Now, the fact of the matter is this video is based on a couple of conversations that I recently had, as well as a Christian minister who I heard him talk about these 7 things, and I've taken them and augmented them in such a way that it works no matter what you're sharing, no matter what type of information you're sharing. This is a guideline that you should follow. You should follow these 7 requirements of Sharing 101 in order to be an effective sharer. Oh, by the way, as far as sharing, share this video. By the way, share all my videos. By the way, I know that 41% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers. That's atrocity. That's an atrocity. So I need you to click that subscriber button right now. If you're finding me for the first time, or if you're one of those people who've been watching my videos and not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, click on the bell icon so that you get notification. If you're watching this on YouTube and LinkedIn, I know you're one of those people who are not subscribers. So go on over to YouTube and subscribe. Now, let's jump right into it. The first thing that you need to be in order to be an effective sharer of information is you have to be friendly. You have to be approachable. You have to be somebody that when you speak to someone, you don't automatically put them into the defensive. If when you speak to someone and the first thing they do is this right here, their body language just told you that they went defensive. Or, if the first thing they do is start looking towards the door or moving towards the door, or if they're watching your mouth move, they really want you to shut up. That's a body language thing of shh, shh, shh. I need you to hush because I got something to say. Or I need you to hush because I don't want to listen to what you're saying. So you have to initially, somewhat to a certain degree, be friendly, befriend the person, make them feel comfortable. If they're not comfortable, they're not listening. Okay, that's just how it is. If they're not comfortable, they're not listening. And so you have to first be friendly. Number 2 is be encouraging. You have to be encouraging. There's a book called The 1 Minute Manager. Love this book. Read this book well before, when I first got in the Marine Corps, well before I had kids. But this book, more than any other book, I read all the Raise Your Children books. I ain't gonna say all of them, but I read a lot of them. A lot of the Raise Your Children books. The best book I ever read was The 1 Minute Manager, which actually had nothing to do with raising children. It was about how to manage your people on a job. But how the 1 Minute Manager works as far as being encouraging and critiquing at the same time was amazing, and my kids have turned out great because of it. Now, how does it work? Very simple. You encourage, you critique the activity or the action that they did, and then you reaffirm. So to give you an example, here's my kids. Let's say my children was disrespectful to a teacher, did not use tact, but maybe they were right, maybe they was wrong, but they weren't tactful in how they expressed themselves to their teacher. So the way it would work is to say, okay, Lincoln, I know that you are an amazing kid. You're my son. You've been raised, and you normally are very respectful to elders and people in authority. But when you were in class last week, and actually I wouldn't use the word but, when you were in class last week, you were not respectful to Mrs. Johnson. you spoke to her in such a way that was not respectful of a person who's your elder or a person in authority as your teacher. Now, you are a bright young man, and I know you know how to ask questions without being disrespectful or being smart, being a smart aleck. So I know that you can, because I've seen you do it, and you do it all the time. You do it with your mom, you do it with me, you do it with your grandparents. I've seen you do it, so I know that you can, because you're that kind of an amazing kid. So tomorrow when you go to school, I need you to apologize to Miss Johnson, and then in the next time you have a question or you disagree with what's going on, ask in a polite, respectful manner, but make sure you get your point across so that she has full clarity, because it's your responsibility to make sure that she understands. Okay? And I've raised my kids that way, still talk to my kids that way, and they're 22, almost 20. Ooh, she turned 20 in a week or so. Almost 20 and 18, and it still works. And I've used this through everybody I've ever managed, period. Through the Marine Corps, as a sales manager, everywhere. The whole thing, as an entrepreneur, everything. That's how I do it. And that's how we have to do it. If we want to share information with someone, we have to be encouraging. We have to encourage the person. And if there is something to critique, we critique the activity, we create the knowledge, we create the words spoken, we critique those things, and then we reaffirm the person, reaffirm them as you are worth more than what you did. That is very vital to share. Number 3 is that it has to be helpful. It has to be helpful. Sometimes we get bogged down in information and sharing information that is not helpful to the person we're talking to. Your audience is not correct. You have to make sure you're speaking to the right audience and the information is helpful to them. If I was going to talk to a bunch of farmers, right? Let's say I'm going to talk to a bunch of farmers, but I want to go in there and talk to them about spark plugs. It's not very helpful to the farmer. They got their mechanics. Spark plug is a minor detail. Not something that they probably want to talk about. If I'm going to talk to a bunch of brain surgeons, right, and I want to talk about avocados, probably not a good subject matter that's helpful to them. The information needs to be helpful to the audience that's listening. And if it's not death or dying, then it's really, that should be the kind of the scale. There's a class that I know nurses used to have to take. I don't know if they still take it now, but it was called death or dying. It's kind of like triage. Death or dying, that's first. That's important. That's immediate. You just got some pain. You got a big cut, gash in your leg. You're not dying. You're stable. We'll get to you later. If you've been to an emergency room, you know how that happens. So death or dying. Is it death or dying information that I need to provide to you? If it's not helpful, if it doesn't make their life better, then it's not good. And it is not for you to determine what makes their life better. It is for them to determine what makes their life better. If they say that, that really doesn't matter to me. I really don't care to learn about trees. I really don't care to learn. I swear it seems like my middle child doesn't care to learn how to drive. So me telling her about driving, road conditions, that it's not helpful to her. She calls a Lyft or Uber. It's not helpful to that child. But we have to make sure that the information we're sharing is helpful. Number 4, you've all heard this before. You got one mouth and 2 ears. So you should listen twice as much as you are talking. Now I know I'm making a YouTube video, but I can't hear anything y'all saying. So you got to write stuff in the comments. But you got to listen twice as much as you talk. Too many times you're listening with one ear and you already have what you want to say next. You already know how you're going to respond. You've held on to one point that they made right here, and you've missed all this stuff here because you're focused here and you want to respond to this. And so you haven't heard anything else because you're not listening, right? You're not listening. You're too ready to talk. One way I can tell this is if I'm talking to you and you're staring me at my mouth, then that body language wise means that you want me to shut up because you got something to say. And so I'll see that and I'll be like, oh, okay, let me shut up. Let me stop talking. Because evidently they got something to say and they're not listening to me anyway. So let me hush. But as the person providing information, when you notice that, you see that, you got to listen. You got to listen to the person. Plus also, when you don't listen to the people, you oftentimes are talking to them about things that's not helpful to them. So we got to be helpful when we're sharing information. Now, often when I do a seminar, if any of you were at the last seminar that I did, one of the things you may notice is that I went around and I kind of talked to everybody. I kind of talked to people, kind of got a feel of where they were, what kind of information that they were, like caught on to or thinking about. I did that. Why? Because I wanted to be helpful to the people, and I listened to what they needed, not so much what I needed. Listen to what they were looking for, and not so much give them what I wanted to provide them. So I listened twice as much as you talk, right? So that way you can understand and move in the right direction. Number 5, share when appropriate. Everything, too many times we are approaching people to share information, and it's not the right time. Maybe they got a lot going on in their life. Maybe they're going through a struggle right now. Maybe they're in a rush. Maybe it could be anything, whatever it is. If it's not the appropriate situation, it is not time for you to share. One of the things, and I'm not picking on religion at all, but it's kind of like the difference between the Jehovah's Witness that just stands on the corner, or the Muslim guy who just stands on the corner and they're just there, right? They're not pushing towards you. They're not knocking on your door. They're not doing that. You approach them. If you want to talk to them, it's an appropriate time. But when they come knocking on your door, I didn't ask you to come knock on my door. I didn't ask you to come to my door. When the little Mormon boys come around, I didn't ask you to come knock on my door. I understand what your religion teaches, but I didn't ask you to come to my door. It is not appropriate. And people have taken their desire to share and help and that sort of thing to a point where they're not doing it appropriately, which automatically puts people in a defensive, which goes back to number 1, is be friendly. I can't be friendly with you because you came at me inappropriately. You can't encourage me because you came at me inappropriately. Your information is not helpful to me because you came at me inappropriately. You talking, I'm not listening because your time frame is inappropriate. So you have to share information at the appropriate time. Most of the time, other than YouTube videos, I wait for people to ask. And half my videos are based on what people are requesting on Patreon, or what people request, or the secondary level of requesting, which is YouTube and Facebook, that sort of thing. But most of the time, my videos are based on people's requests or conversations that I had with somebody that they need more information on. And then I want to expound later. So share when appropriate. Number 6, share sound facts and theories. Now this one is a little bit different. For the persons who may have heard these lists of things from that particular pastor, that these are based off of, and I don't know if I said that, but these were based off of what I heard a pastor talk about, but I've augmented them to fit everything. But I augmented that one definitely. Share sound facts and theories. Now we got to understand what facts are. Facts are things that are it just is what it is. If you saw my video about the Tao verse 7, we talked about the difference between belief and faith. You can believe something is and hope that it is, but it may not be, but your hope and belief is stuck right there that's what it has to be, regardless of the facts, right? The facts are that the sun rises, but it doesn't really rise. We say that the sun rises, but the earth revolves and the sun is there, and we orbit around the sun. For millennia, people believe that the sun orbited around the earth, but our solar system doesn't work that way. So it's a fact. It just is a fact. I am dark of skin because of melanin. Just a fact. It doesn't have anything to do with a curse. There's no curse that made me darker. It's melanin, right? That's all it is. It's we're carbon-based beings. Melanin, whatever, all that sort of thing. That's all it is. If I cut you, you bleed red. Unless you're an alien, you're gonna bleed red. Your blood, because as soon as that blood hits that air, that oxygen, boom, it turns red. So you're gonna bleed the same blood that I bleed. Now, that makes us all human. So why are you racist? I don't know. But it has to be sound facts, things that they can't be disproved. Not your belief, not your hope, not your wish in the face of fact. And then the other part I said facts and theories, because why? We don't have the facts on everything. We will probably never have the facts on everything. We still don't even fully understand gravity. We are still trying to understand dark matter. There are so many things about life that we don't understand, that we are still trying to understand. But if we have a good theory, is based on a multitude of facts, things that are observable, but we may not understand it fully, but we can observe it. We see it happening. We know it's happening. We can affect it in certain ways, and it starts to, and we can manifest certain things by just knowing the branch of the tree, but we just don't know the root of the tree. We don't know the roots where it came from. We don't understand it fully, but we do see the branch. We know what's happening with the branch, and we can affect it through the branch. Those are theories. Whatever the actual thing is happening, those are theories. We theorize what's going on. We theorize what people actually did 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 years ago. We theorize based on evidence that we have. We don't have until we have clear-cut facts, it's a theory. But be able to back your theory with evidence. Physical, mental, written evidence. And the written evidence, and this is where I diverge from a little bit from what was taught. Literature does not mean facts. Literature tells you what people was thinking during that time frame, or literature tells you what those in charge wanted the people to think during that time frame, because that's what happened today. It's called news. So we got to have sound facts and theories, right? And number 7, the final one, is dependent upon you, and you can do one of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, combination of these, however these go. But you need to do these in the process. You need to, whether you pray, meditate, or critically think, you can do all 3, you can do 2. Most of the time, I just do 2. Meditate and I critically think. Before, during, and after. Before you share, you need to take a step back and think, how do I approach this situation? Let me give you, this was a recent example for me. There was a situation that I needed to talk to my lady about. I knew that if I came at her one way, it would turn into an argument. I knew that if I came at her another way, it would put me in a position of like begging, which wouldn't have came out well either. So I had to rehearse it in my mind and put it in and critically think it through in such a way that it would she would be open to the information that I wanted to share with her, the thought process that I had. So I sat for a while and meditated on the process that I was going to speak to her. So I did that beforehand. And then in the midst of the conversation, because you guys, you do it, you're talking and the wheels are still turning, I'm evaluating what I'm saying. I'm evaluating how she's receiving it. I'm evaluating every body language that she produces to make sure that she's receiving it in the way that I'm trying to communicate it, because it's up to me as the communicator to make sure that the person receives it the way I'm wanting it to go. And then even after, you watch the results. We talked about the trivium so many times in critical thinking, but whether it's meditation, praying, whatever it is, you watch and did you get the desired result? If not, let me go back and reevaluate the facts, the understanding of the facts, and how it was all presented to make sure that they are understanding this information the way that I was trying to provide it, or the way I was looking for it to be provided, until I get my desired results. And of course, at the end, because I'm Ren, so of course my desired results were achieved. We know this. We could not have happened any other way. So we know the desired results were achieved. But that is one thing that I do. And here's the thing. I learned that from the Bible. I learned that one from the Bible. There was a story where, and I always get the names mixed up. It's either Nehemiah or Jeremiah, but I'm pretty sure it's Nehemiah. But Nehemiah was he found out that the walls were down in the city, and the walls being down means that they're open, they're defenseless, that they can't defend themselves, that marauders can come in and out. It means so much to their culture if they don't have walls around their city. That's a whole nother subject. But walls around the city means a lot as far as the culture of survival and their respect around amongst other nations and their ability to govern themselves. So he found out that the walls were down, and he was like the food taster, the wine taster for this king. And he was saddened, but everybody knew that you couldn't go around the king sad. And if you did, the king be pissed that you might die. That's the way it was back then. So he was like, he prayed and meditated on how to approach the king to ask permission to go and build the city walls. So he meditated, he prayed on that thing for a while of how to approach, right? And his approach worked. He was granted access and supplies and money and everything to go rebuild the city walls. So I read that when I was like 11 years old. And from 11 years old on, I was like, that's an excellent piece of wisdom of how to approach most situations. There have been times where people have been like fussing or angry or whatever, or I'm going through a situation where I made a mistake and I'm listening to the person. And I know say listen twice as much. I'm listening because I'm gathering information about how they feel and what's going on in their body language. And at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what? How do I approach this person? That's all I'm asking the universe. I'm asking the creator. I'm asking God. I'm asking whatever you want to call it, whatever you do. How do I approach this situation for this, my desired result? Basically, I'm asking myself, my brain, my energy, how do I change my energy? How do I fit my energy to get a higher vibrational result from this situation? However you want to phrase it, doesn't really matter to me. However it works for you. If you need to pray, if you pray during and after, that's fine. If you meditate before, during, and after, that's fine. If you do critical thinking before, during, and after, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. The thing is getting yourself in the right mindset so that the right words and the right body language and the right thought process is expressed so that the person will understand. I do this in sales all the time. In sales, I'm always looking at the body language of the person. I'm evaluating the words. I'm listening to their tone. I'm listening to their situation, looking for the problem, the real reason why they haven't said yes yet. And I'm looking for that so that I can solve that problem and they say yes. I'm looking for that the entire time, right? And that's how you have to be when you're sharing information. If you want that person to elevate their thinking, to elevate their lifestyle, you want to convince them that they need to do better with their health, whatever it is, you have to be in that mindset where you're firing to solve the issue. Let me find the root, as much as the root as I can, and then let me get sound facts to that person in a friendly way, encourage them, helpful information. I'm listening twice as much, and I'm doing this when it's an appropriate time. Don't try to tell me I need to lose weight when I'm eating me a big old burger. That's the wrong time. Don't tell me then, don't tell me then. Or if even for those of us who are like myself, I'm like 90% vegetarian. Even when I'm eating a big you can have a vegetarian plate that's like this big, but that still could be way too many calories, especially you got cheese and sauces and all this stuff on top. Hey, you're still getting fat. You got a bunch of pasta in there. You're still getting fat. So, but don't try to tell me about it then, because you're going to put me in a defensive mode. It's a later time when I'm sitting there and I'm laying and the belly's sitting all up, and you're like, whew. Oh, when you can pat it, when you can set a glass on top, maybe then you tell me about it. Or when I'm trying to like bend over to get something, but like the belly getting away and everything's like, well, I know that you go through the process, hey, I see that it's very difficult for you to be able to stretch down there, and I know that it's not who you are and how you used to be. You used to be like 40 pounds lighter than what you are, but maybe we should start working out together, taking walks, eating smaller meals throughout the day, because I know you can do it because you've done it before. You were 300 some odd pounds, you lost 70 pounds in 6 months. So I know you can do it. You used to be a personal trainer, so I know that you know how to do it. But I'm here as your support structure. I'm here to help you, and we can do this thing together. And that's not clues to anyone listening to come tell me that. I already know these things. So, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe. I know that you enjoy these videos. I can tell because I can see all the data. And 41% of you guys, you like the videos. So let's go ahead and help the channel and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that we can know when the next video drops. But hit the subscribe button. It really supports the channel and it makes me feel good, because then I know that you actually care about the information I'm providing. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.